Hey guys, this is going to be the start of our advanced video series where I kind of talk about, more challenging techniques, and this is going to be kind of our bonus point assignments or part of it. And first off, this first week, we're going to be kind of talking about how to start developing vibrato in your playing and in your practicing. Now, there are many ways to do vibrato right and many ways to do vibrato wrong, and different teachers will insist on like this is the right way, this is the best way. There really is no like one like universal this is how you have to do it. Everyone really has different opinions. Now there are ones that are universal, like this is not how you do it, and I'm going to try and touch on bits of those here and there with you guys. I also want to add, if you have a private teacher and they're working with you on vibrato, go ahead and follow their advice. That one-on-one instruction is going to get you a lot further than anything I'm going to teach you in a video. So I'll be showing you exercises to kind of develop, not magically learn, because vibrato is not something you just learn how to do. It's something that you kind of start to get the foundations of, and you build it up as you go. It's not something you're going to get in a day. It takes some time. It takes some practice time. And then once you've got it, it's part of like your warm up to continue developing and make sure you continue to master. So I'll be going through some of these techniques with each of your instruments and just exercises you can work on, hopefully put into your practice routine and start to develop on your own. Hey violins and violas, I'm going to be walking you guys through a couple of exercises and pointers, techniques for you to start working on developing your vibrato while you're all stuck quarantined at home. Quick disclaimer, you all know violin and viola is not my main instrument, so my technique when I'm demonstrating won't be, of course, as refined as like a professional or someone like violin's their main instrument, but this is more for you, like to get you guys kind of started to where you're working on this and cleaning it up on your own. Couple important points before we start doing this exercises. One is with a lot of string players, when they're starting to try and develop vibrato, their tendency is to be very, very tense, trying to kind of like force the result that they're wanting, and that's actually going to be working against you. We need to make sure we're nice and relaxed, not tense, and just kind of accepting the fact that this is going to take a little while to develop. This is not something that's going to happen today while you're watching this. So I know like some of us are perfectionists and like we want to get it right. Just relax. This is something we develop, not something we learn. Okay, we can learn the exercises and we can learn like the little pointers, but we cannot like just learn vibrato. We develop vibrato. So want to make sure that that's nice, crystal clear. So we want to make sure our hand is nice and relaxed, especially like this knuckle right here, because when we're on the string, this is the knuckle that's going to be kind of moving back and forth, creating the vibrato. Because if we think about how a violin or a viola works, or any string instrument really, the further we go up towards the body, the higher in pitch we're going, the lower. And all vibrato is, it's just that happening on a very, very small, very, very quick scale. It's you taking your finger, rolling it up, taking in more string, which makes our pitch go up, and then going back down, making our pitch go down. So this is happening, very, very quickly, which is what's giving us vibrato. So now, there are really two different techniques that violinists use. Some of them prefer one or the other. Some violinists like combine the two depending on which finger is actually doing the vibrato. The first is what we call wrist vibrato. I know my mic stands a little in the way. There, that should be a little better. So first is in the wrist. So you can see it's really just my hand moving. My movement is being generated from my wrist here, moving back and forth across the string. The second method violinists use is the whole arm actually moving. So that it's like elbow or arm vibrato, some people call it that. So either wrist or arm. And really, the one you choose is kind of like a preference. Like whenever I'm going to walk you through these exercises, you can kind of like start to decide, oh, I could definitely feel more comfortable using my elbow, or I feel more comfortable using your wrist. And really, you can kind of take your style of vibrato and go from there. Okay, this first exercise I'm going to kind of show you guys. This is what I like to call like the glissando vibrato exercise. And if you don't know what glissando is kind of like that slidey thing like you discovered you can be really annoying with your instrument when you're playing. Kind of back and forth like that. That's what we call actually glissando on our instrument. And we can actually use this technique to actually work on vibrato as well. The idea being that we're sliding back and forth on our instruments while playing it, and then what we're going to gradually start to do is make the distance we're traveling, like back and forth, smaller and smaller and smaller until we're just in one spot doing just like the tiniest like bits of movement back and forth. So it starts out nice, big back and forth, smaller, 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 until we kind of get what's developing into a vibrato. All right, now, like I said, this takes some time. Some of you may be kind of, going back and forth and then getting stuck, and then you're just like super tense, not moving. Like I said, it's about relaxing and developing. And this exercise will kind of sound like this as you're working on. All right, so that's an exercise we can kind of start working into our practice that we're doing, maybe as like a warm-up or something like that. And again, remember this is something we're developing, not something that is going to instantly happen. You could even hear, like in my example, I didn't even have it down perfectly. This is something like I, as a violinist, haven't fully learned to develop. I'm still working on it. So, take your time, keep at it, and it'll as long as we're working on it, it's going to come to us eventually. A couple of things before we move on to our next exercise. What I see a lot of beginner violinists kind of figure out that they can do that they mistake for vibrato is the idea of taking our finger on the string and pushing up and down on it to where the string is kind of like bouncing up and down. I want to make that clear. That is not vibrato. That is not like the correct. That's something we need to avoid doing. Like I know it kind of gives you something that sounds like vibrato, but when we're doing that, our tone is going like in and out, like not just the pitch. So, keep in mind that is not vibrato. That is not something we want to make sure we're doing. The next exercise I'm going to be showing you guys. This is what I like to call it's kind of like a siren sounding vibrato, and this is just isolating like those small movements back and forth, whether you're using your arm or your wrist, where your knuckle is kind of relaxed and more straight, and then pushing it forward to where this knuckle is now at that angle. So this is kind of a back and forth. Kind of like a light switch, like on, off, on, off, on, off. And we're just slowly alternating between those two. On, off, on, off. Kind of thinking like we're playing like quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Make sure we're nice and relaxed. Now, what we want to avoid doing this exercise is kind of like a snapping motion where it's just, we're thinking like tense on. Remember, we want to avoid being tense with our hands. Think on and then like snap, like where it's just like this, because that is not realistic. Like you're not going to be able to like play an exercise with this. So nice and relaxed, just quarter on, off, like that. Okay, I hope this was enough to get us all kind of started on our way. Again, just a reminder, vibrato is something we develop, not something that we just learn in a day. So use these exercises in your warm-ups, just in your daily practice. Just a couple minutes every day, and you'll start to notice it starting to clean up and develop more and more. And once we start feeling comfortable, use those exercises on different fingers. The ones I was doing today, I was doing all with my second finger. Most string players, violinists, feel most comfortable doing these exercises on our second finger, third finger. A lot of them like that first, somewhat, and then pinky's going to be our hardest. So work on these exercises individually, and let me know how it's going for you guys. Hope to see you all soon. Stay safe. Hopefully this gives you something to work on. See you later.